The date is late December 1980, and U.S. military forces have been invited to Britain on behalf of the Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. After the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan the year before, all of NATO is on edge, and U.S. troop presence in Europe has been increased as a precaution. The U.S. Air Force and the Royal Air Force both operate two air bases known as Woodbridge and Bentwaters, home to several squadrons of fighters, bombers, and, unknown to the public, a small stockpile of American nuclear weapons meant to be employed against the Soviet Union in case of war. Strange lights have been reported in the sky by both military and civilian personnel over the preceding few weeks, but nobody's paid much attention to them, being explained away as military aircraft or simple meteors. Deputy Base Commander Colonel Charles Halt, however, has been witness to these objects and is troubled by his or any of his staff's inability to explain their presence. He resolves to investigate the phenomenon if an opportunity ever presents itself. He would not have to wait long. On the night of December 26th, the U.S. Air Force Security Police noticed strange lights in the forest outside the small airbase. The lights seem to fluctuate as they move through the treetops, and the airmen fear that an aircraft has suffered some form of malfunction. They radio for permission to investigate the site, which is off-base and technically outside of their jurisdiction as American Security Police. Nonetheless, fearing a serious emergency with a military or civilian aircraft, the airmen are given permission. 4 security policemen thus set off into the forest to investigate, though one of them is convinced that there's been no crash, as he believes he saw the lights actually land safely on the forest floor. This security policeman, Staff Sergeant Bud Stevens, refuses to leave the base perimeter and investigate the site, terrified by what he believes he had seen. Airman First Class Cabin Seg, Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston, and Airman First Class John Burroughs thus drive into the forest alone. It's not long before they spot a bright, shining light coming through the trees. They attempt to follow it with their vehicle but are unable to due to the difficult terrain and are forced to proceed on foot. As they move closer to the mysterious light, though, the radios begin to malfunction, so Sergeant Peniston orders Airman Kabasang to remain by the vehicle where the radios are unaffected so he can relay back to Central Security Control if need be. The 2 airmen notice that animals on a nearby farm seem to be in a highly agitated state, further setting the men on edge as they continue forward through the thick brush. Radio comms, even back to Kabasang barely 100 meters away, completely fail, and Sergeant Peniston orders Airman Burroughs to head back to the tree line so he can maintain a radio link back to Kabasang. Burroughs, however, is so afraid that he refuses to leave Sergeant Peniston's company, and the two continue on together. Now just 50 meters away, the men get a look at the source of the light. It's a metallic object glowing brightly and causing the air to be charged with electricity. The men's hairs start to stand on end as they approach even closer, making out more details of the luminous object. Despite the light, the skin of the craft seems to be black and metallic, and is triangular in shape, measuring 3 meters in width and 2 in height, roughly the size of a tank. White light seems to be emitted from both the top and bottom, with flashing blue and red lights along the side of it. Sergeant Peniston uses a camera he's brought with him to snap photos of the object and notices that there seems to be no seams, rivets, or other signs of manufactured origin. It's as if the entire craft was made out of one solid piece of metal. Touching the object with his hand, he's surprised to find it warm, and as he slides his hand along the smooth metal, discovers a series of raised symbols etched along the left side. As he moves his hand along the symbols, though, something incredible happens. The craft emits a blinding white light, causing the men to stumble backwards. Sergeant Peniston is so afraid the craft is going to explode that he ducks for cover behind a thick oak tree. Suddenly, the craft is completely engulfed in white light and lifts up off the ground, quickly shooting through the trees and up into the night sky. The men immediately report back to base and are told they have misidentified some natural phenomenon. Peniston, however, has kept detailed notes of the entire encounter in his logbook, which he presents at the debriefing. The men are told simply to forget what they think they saw. The photos taken are confiscated and never seen again. Base Deputy Commander Colonel Charles Halt hears about the UFO when he returns to the base the following morning. He orders Airman Kabasang to report to his office and debriefs him personally. But with no further evidence, the case remains a curiosity and nothing more, until just 24 hours later. Colonel Halt is at a party attended by both British and American officers when he receives a call. The UFO is back. Halt wastes no time and immediately leaves the party, assembling a patrol to investigate the sighted craft once more and hopefully debunk it. Upon entering the forest, Halt and his men discover that other patrols have already arrived, but are experiencing difficulties with the electronics in their patrol vehicles and their radios. Nobody has seen the exact whereabouts of the craft, however, so Halt takes his team toward the original landing location from 2 nights ago. As they arrive, they spot a glowing red object moving through the forest ahead of them. Halt, who is carrying a mini tape recorder, begins making notes as he observes the craft.
He has an location.
You just saw a light where? Wait, no, slow down. Where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flash right there, sir. There it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So, can I get some? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again?
Yes, sir.
As the men investigate the light in the distance, they notice that the farm animals nearby, which had been going crazy, seem to have quieted down, as if something was terrifying them into silence. Undaunted, the men push on and run straight into a flashing red light directly ahead of them.
We just got the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There is no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been.
Yellow.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird.
To the left.
Yeah, definitely moving off.
Two lights. One light to the front,
Okay.
one light to the left.
Keep the flashlights off.
The men spot the light moving slowly toward them and incredibly splitting off what appears to be chunks of molten metal as the light moves. Undaunted, the American airmen move toward the light again.
Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. Can you want to do it without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye.
Colonel Halt and his men move toward the light, and to conserve tape, the colonel stops recording. The men push through the woods and cross a small creek, when incredibly, they spot not one, but multiple lights.
We passed the farmer's house and across into the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. We just crossed the creek, and we're getting what kind of readings now? Getting 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky.
As the men watch, they suddenly spot numerous lights, almost as if they've been lured into the midst of their own personal light show.
03:15, now we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones in the north are moving, one's moving away from us. Moving out fast.
This one on the right heading away, too.
Yeah, we're both heading north. Here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal.
Incredibly, one of the craft seems to emit a beam of light that lights the ground a few dozen meters in front of the men. On the recording, the other men with Colonel Halt can be heard excitedly cursing and muttering in fear when the colonel stops the tape again. By now, he's had enough and believes he and his men may be in danger, so he orders them to return to the base. Incredibly, the lights continue to put on their light show, with one even flying over the air base and being spotted by the colonel and his men beaming a light down to an unspecified location on the base. Shortly after the incident, the British Ministry of Defense and the United States Office of Special Investigations conducted an investigation into the incident, declaring that there existed nothing of any notable concern that had occurred that night. Many, including Colonel Halt himself, believe the governments of the United States and Great Britain covered up the incident and suppressed much of the evidence, though the colonel's own recording was kept safe and released to the public in the 2000s. Much of the physical evidence, such as indentations at the landing site and radiation counts recorded by Colonel Halt and his team, would be explained away as being nothing more than rabbit burrows or normal background radiation spikes. However, if we're to believe Colonel Halt's version of the events, then this might be nothing more than disinformation meant to silence any discussion about the incident, or to at least ruin the credibility of the witnesses. In the end, the best evidence we have is the colonel's tape itself, and it's clear on the tape that whatever happened that night, a half-dozen American airmen and a deputy commander of an American airbase all believed that they were truly witnessing physical phenomenon taking place before their very eyes. Whether it was alien or not, or perhaps simply a mass delusion, we may never know. Want to see more evidence of military encounters with extraterrestrials? Check out actual video of US military intercepting UFOs, or check out this other video instead.